Well.
It went right.
Welcome to the Dr. G Show. This is episode 179. And this week and next week... Uh-oh. What's that?
The Dr. G Show.
I like that kind of intro better.
I know. Well, it took a few seconds to get started.
Yeah.
So,
did you ever hear the intro to the podcast that me and Marty did?
I did.
Holly's Josh
I
made that up.
know,
It was
I
so
know.
funny. So, she needs to come up with an intro song for this one. All those years she was on this, she didn't even make an intro song. Some bullcrap.
And then she went ahead and made one for you. Welcome, everybody.
Yep. Thank you guys for joining. Today and next week, we're going to talk about thyroid. And thyroid is a pretty big time thing for most people in the U.S. And we have alarming epidemics of thyroid problems. So this week, we're going to concentrate on basically kind of overexhausted or low thyroid. So we want to talk about kind of like what do we see statistically out there? Kind of what is the traditional model that we're going to see? What are the signs and symptoms? And then how do we actually use functional lifestyle medicine to reverse? So we'll probably talk about some clinical examples also. So this is something for the last 17 years, highly effective in reversing and normalizing people's thyroid. Even people that don't have thyroids, we've done incredible work with normalizing it without the medication. So we can talk about that next week. And then, so this week we're talking about exhaustion. And then next week we're going to talk about Hashimoto's specifically, or Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And even hyperthyroid, which is Graves' disease, which I used to have. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
We get a phone call right in the middle of it, so that's pretty good. Phone very popular. All right, so, oh, you got to turn on the microphone.
Oh.
All right, so the microphone's not in, so you guys might not be hearing.
We did this one time.
I know.
Okay.
There we go.
How's that?
Now the amp's on. Can you guys hear us okay?
Gosh.
So make sure to kind of post questions as we have this, and let me know kind of what your guys' thoughts are, questions that you have about thyroid. And I'm Dr. G. I have a functional lifestyle medicine practice in Wichita, and we actually, I'm collaborating with another clinic called the Genomic Wellness Group. So it's going to specialize, so we have Sherry Clark is going to specialize in reversing thyroid conditions. And so that's her main job, that and autoimmune conditions. So I'm collaborating with that clinic to help them kind of get started, get set up, and ensure that they are highly successful. So if you guys have questions, let me know. And hey, there's Jennifer Livers. Or livers, probably livers. Sounds better, livers. So,
Hi.
Depends on if you're from Texas or not.
That's true.
That's why anybody named Andrea is Andrea.
Andrea,
or Andrea. Like, I never know. Okay.
Oh.
What? Did you get a share?
You know what's funny is, you know, when we start these shows, and then she said, "Oh no."
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It looks like you Sonia has a emergency. Seriously.
Well, that's not
what
good.
I read. No. So that's why we got the call. So it might have cut out some. So there was an emergency call that came through. So.
Do you know what it said?
Yeah.
What? Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, we'll deal with that in a little bit.
Okay.
So, all right. So back to thyroid. So last time we talked about pineal gland, we talked about the thymus gland. Now we're going to talk about the thyroid gland. So we start here, then here, and adrenals.
We talked about the adrenals last time.
Thyroid.
Yeah.
So thyroid gland is right here. So if they have like Graves' disease really bad, or sorry, hypothyroid really bad, like when they look up, you can see it all swollen out, which is crazy.
Oh yeah. Let me show you a quick pic of it.
And
we all know. Well, I think a lot of people know about the thyroid gland.
Well, they
because,
know.
you know, It seems like we have so many issues with the thyroid gland. So here you, here you go. So basically, it's in around the neck region, and that's the actual size of it. It looks like a butterfly. Like, you know, we're always talking about how we need to transform and change into a butterfly. We actually have that in our neck.
Yeah. So,
and it can grow really big, y'all.
Yeah.
I saw pictures. I did some research, and I saw some pictures, and it was.
I know it gets crazy.
It can
huge.
get like a big old lump in there.
Yeah.
But we'll cover this in a little bit. But some people don't even know they have an issue with it.
Yeah. So you had some stats. So we're gonna go through stats real quick, y'all.
Yep. Okay.
And this is kind of fascinating because this is like everybody's family, and this is everybody's daughters and sons going through this kind of thing, and most of them have no hope whatsoever, and most of them kind of get, and usually a lot of people end up on psych meds with thyroid problems.
It causes a lot of things.
Everything falls apart.
Yeah.
And so.
Absolutely.
So what did you have there?
Okay. So,
and this is Suzanne. I'm Dr. G.
Oh yeah. Hi. Hi everybody. So basically we have. Excuse me. The first statistic is women. We always get.
That's sexist.
We always get the good stuff.
Women.
We always get the good stuff. You know, we have babies.
So wait. Do you guys think women are more likely to get thyroid problems, or more likely be men to have thyroid problems? You know the answer.
I know the answer, so I'm kind of waiting. So anybody?
And then
anybody? Men or women?
Men or
are
women.
more likely. Which one are more likely to have thyroid issues? Okay, so I'm gonna just go ahead and throw this out there. I'm waiting, but I don't see anything. 5 to 8 times women are more likely than men to have thyroid issues.
Yeah.
Why is that, Dr. G?
Well, so you know, we'll talk more in depth about, like, thyroid is typically secondary to chronic hormone exhaustion through cortisol. So even though thyroid, I mean, like we said before, cholesterol makes progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, anti-aging hormone, estrogens, and progesterone, but cortisol actually interferes with the conversion of T4 to T3, and then T3, the free one, is the active form that runs everything in the body. So prolonged stress actually interferes with the conversion of T4 to T3, lowering thyroid problems. And men typically don't think that self-care is selfish, so we feel entitled to do whatever the hell we want to, any time of day we want to, because we need to, right? So I need to go hang out with my friends. I need to go fishing. I need to, you know, play video games, play Grand Theft Auto. So men will have no problem justifying doing whatever the hell they want in self-care. But women tend to feel that self-care is selfish because they're god dang martyrs, and they will martyr themselves to death. And when they are on the floor exhausted because they're trying to keep everything together and everybody together, ain't nobody helping the martyr. So with the way kind of the survival of the fittest of the thyroid, it says basically if you can't pull your shit together and live a balanced life, you should not be breeding. You should not have fertility. You should not feel good. Your memory should go to crap, and your thyroid will just turn against you, and you will basically dry up and blow away, right? So that sense of like self-help, or not self-help, but self-care, not being selfish, is almost like, you know, foreign to women, because they don't see it that way.
And you know, he's
am I right?
on.
Am I right?
You're spot on.
I'm very sexist here with this. Like,
no, it's absolutely true. I mean, I find myself even like just keeping busy. Like there's always something to do. There's always something to get done.
Yeah.
You know, for me to sit on the couch and enjoy, you know, watching TV or just not doing anything except for meditation, because that then is a practice that I use to relax or to
That's
tune in.
selfish.
Yeah, it's so selfish. And so, but to just sit on the couch and just watch TV or whatever is just really foreign to me.
Yeah.
Because there's always in my mind, there's something that's got to get done. There's laundry, there's cooking, there's dishes, there's cleaning, there's everything.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, there are some men out there that are kind of, you know, in tune with that stuff. But I think for the most part, men kind of, like you said, just it's easier for them to relax.
Yeah. Well, and we absolutely typically will justify why we deserve to sit on the couch and watch TV.
Worked all day.
Why we deserve. So yeah, you'll have
Even though we worked all day too.
Right,
we're
right.
Still doing
You have
the same
two
stuff.
people that are
Oh my
working full-time
gosh.
jobs, and then one tends to like martyr for the children, martyr for the husband or boyfriend, and then feel guilty not taking care of themselves and kind of running around like, I'm going to make everything better, and they're not.
No.
They're not. You're going to exhaust yourself. You're not going to be the person you want to be. And your thyroid's going to turn against you, and you're going to exhaust the hell out of you. So 1 in 8 women, or no, is that right? No.
5 in 8. 5 in 8 women.
No. Women are 5 to 8 times
That's it.
more likely
So
to
we
exhaust
need
their
to get
thyroid.
down to here. Sorry.
So 5 times to 8 times more women than men
Than men.
will end
That's
up
right.
with thyroid exhaustion. Yeah, you guys agree with me? What do you guys think? Do you think that you guys martyr more, or do you think guys martyr more? I still do laundry and dishes and taking care of the kids, and I change diapers, and I would stay at home, and I worked part-time, but, you know, like, I still was like, I deserve to do this. I still deserve to do that. I'm still a human being that needs this downtime. So even when I walked the girls to preschool, I would drop them off, and then I would walk back home, and I'd have like 2 hours, right? And holy crap, with 4 children, 4 daughters, you know, like, oh my God, like that moment of silence, like in the beginning, like when you just get in the car, buckle up, please get in the car seat, blah, blah, and then you like shut that door and you walk around the car to get in. There's this like serene moment of just like, okay, Patrick, you're gonna make it.
And then you sit on the car hood and you're like looking at the sky, and the kids are in there like, what are you doing? What? And you're like, I'm just taking a minute.
So when the last two, the twins, went to preschool, like I would walk them to preschool, drop them off, come back home, and I had a couple hours that I should be seeing patients, but for I think the first 2 weeks, all I did was stay at home with the lights out, TV loud, just watch whatever the hell I wanted to watch finally, and just having me time, right?
Yeah.
And then after about 2 weeks, I thought, I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this. I should probably like go see a couple patients and kind of get back to work. But I didn't have any problem taking those 2 weeks of like, you know what?
Oh,
I'm so
that
sick and
sounds
tired of changing
nice.
diapers and everybody's 4 billion questions. So I didn't have a problem with that. I don't know. What about you guys?
That's funny. You know, I can't even imagine having 4 children. I have a 28-year-old and getting ready to be an 8-year-old.
20 years in between.
And I can't even imagine having even 2 of them in the same age.
That's how long it took you to be like, you know what? It wasn't that bad, was it? It was fine.
Hey, let's try this again.
I should do that again.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. But
So.
I can't even imagine. You know, how many people out there, and hello, Diana and Mary, and let's see, I think
Oh,
Mike's
Mary
phone's
Fisher.
a little, yeah, hi Mary.
Yeah. Diane Nelson?
Yep.
Um,
I mean, how many people out there have multiple children?
that they know about. I got a
Multiple-
listen. I got a letter.
I can't even imagine.
I got a letter. So this
I wouldn't be talking about
my
anything.
ex-girlfriend from like 20 years ago asked for my address. when I got divorced, I was just like, oh shit, why would she want do I have a kid? And then I was just like, for weeks, like, what the hell? And I got the letter, and I was just like, oh my God, I totally have a kid I don't know about. Like, like my whole world's gonna be going crazy.
I think he's sharing, it's TMI.
TMI?
I think so.
But it wasn't. But it wasn't. It was just a nice letter of like,
hey,
you were a great
how's it
boyfriend.
going?
And
Thank you for being part of my life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So, how many kids do you know about that you have? What?
Oh.
You probably have kids you don't know about, right?
Yeah, right.
Probably had a couple pregnancies you didn't even remember, like the baby popping out. No, that doesn't happen with women, huh?
No. Anyway, back to that statistic.
She's going. Okay, so women are astronomically higher risk for thyroid problems because of martyr syndrome and self-care. Yeah. So, what else you got?
And you know, that was a long story to get to the point that these statistics are real. I mean, obviously they're real. But I mean, sometimes even...
We made them up. 1,000 times more risk.
When we look at statistics, we don't realize we're part of that. We're part of that statistic, ladies. And so, with past episodes, we've talked about self-care and doing, things that are really important to change our lifestyle habits.
Did you go hiking with the girls?
I did not, and they were glad that I didn't.
Oh, you didn't, but you do you have tea and stuff together.
Oh yeah.
Like you do that. That's pretty good.
No,
so
I do a lot of sisterhood stuff. Yes, I love being around women and making sure that I have time for doing the female version of life. Carrie
agrees. With what? Me or her?
Totally agree. Totally me.
Totally agrees.
Carrie agrees with me. Like too much.
Oh, TMI? Probably TMI.
Anyway, so really think about this. I mean, these statistics are really powerful. So let's talk more about it.
Okay.
So yes, I was like 5 and 8, but it's 5 to 8 times more. Women are 5 to 8 times more likely than men to have thyroid problems. And we don't even know sometimes that we have thyroid problems. So what is that? We'll get to that in a little bit. So we're going to cover some of, or do you want to go on into that?
No, we can do that. That's good.
Okay. So why are women 5 to 8 times more likely to have thyroid problems? One, we just talked about self-care and taking care of our managing our stress and managing things in our life. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
And then how many people are undiagnosed? Do we have that? So
do you want to know how many people are undiagnosed?
Yeah. Is it 12 million?
So there's an estimated, we'll jump ahead a little bit, there's an estimated 20 million Americans have some sort of issue with their thyroid. Up to 12 million, so basically half of the 20 million people don't even know that they have an issue with their thyroid.
Yeah. And I would argue that is statistically way higher because the range that they have. So I used to teach functional laboratory interpretation, right? Yeah. And so lab-wise for thyroid, they do TSH, which is not a thyroid hormone. It's from the brain to the thyroid. But that number will be from 0.4 to 4.5. It used to go all the way to 6, way over here, right? And they'd say, oh, if you're in that range somewhere, you're fine, right? But the number should be 1 to 2, closest to 2. That range is what is the expectation. Every few years that number changes. What's the expectation we see for the average American in the sickest, fattest, dumbest population on Earth? So you don't want to be in that range of unhealthy people. You want to say what is the actual healthy range. So you're going to have a lot of people that are falling way off the radar, and it's kind of like having a tire that's perfectly aired up and has lots of tread versus a tire that's about to pop, and the doctor's like, hey, it hasn't popped, it's fine. Was it about to blow out? Nah, it hasn't blown out, so you're fine.
Not yet.
So they wait for thyroid problems until it's off, like, not here, until it goes way over here, and then, holy crap, it falls off, and the tire blows out, or the engine dies. And then they go, you know what? That's too high or too low. We should do something about that. Because now insurance will pay for it, right? But what about all this other time of suffering for years and years and years?
That's a key word.
And they're told you have normal thyroid.
That's right.
The other thing is, when we talk about next week, we'll talk about Hashimoto's. But bromine, fluorine, and chlorine, so bread, water, and like tap water, and then fluoridated mouthwash and toothpaste, they literally bind to the same receptors of iodine on your tyrosine, and then your labs will look perfectly normal, and you will be dying inside. So that's where patients get so frustrated when they come to our clinic, is they will come in being like, well, they said my labs are fine, and you look at them and you're like, it is not fine, and you are obviously hypothyroid, right? So let's fix that kind of thing. So even though it says, what is it, 12 million
are unaware of their condition?
I would say that's way higher because of that wide-ass range that they have for normal. It's a big, big, big problem.
And so that's why Dr. G is the expert in reading those labs, because we need to make sure that we completely understand what's going on and what the variables are. Because if you're seeing a doctor that gives you your lab results, they're not necessarily talking about the range of potential or not potential.
Yeah.
So that's really a key thing, I think, that we need to really think about.
Yeah.
We need to have that conversation. That's interesting.
So 20...
because most of the time, and gosh, I'm just going out on a limb here, but most of the time, traditional physicians don't have time to spend with us.
Yeah.
To explain these things or to help us with some goal-oriented thing. It's just a matter of, hey, why are you not taking your thing that I prescribed you, 6 months ago? Yeah,
New England Journal of Medicine, because that's great. That's exactly right.
Right.
New England Journal of Medicine came out with a research from the Washington School of Medicine that was published, I don't know,
Carrie
10 years ago.
has 5 kids.
Who?
Carrie has 5 children. That's what I'm guessing, right?
Oh, she does.
I have 5.
She does. She
totally agree.
I remember that. She beat me.
Well, Carrie, what do you do to get yourself some self-care? Put it in the comments so we can share.
Yeah.
And it's
what
hopefully you're not
does a
exhausted
person
on
with
the floor.
5 kids do to de-stress and balance thyroid?
I have 1, and I'm whiny sometimes. I don't want to be whiny.
1? That's like a vacation.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, and he's helpful at times, and so anyway, back to this.
So wait,
Sorry.
What was I saying?
We were talking about the variables and lab results, and that sometimes traditional physicians don't spend enough time with us.
The research. Yeah.
Okay.
So an article came out several years ago that said 52% of all diagnosis and treatment in the United States is inappropriate. So it's misdiagnosis, mistreatment. 52%.
That's a lot.
And when they asked the author of the study, like, why is that? He said, well, we're not trained as primary care physicians. We're trained as emergency physicians. So in medical school, it's top 3, top 3, top 3. So you go from patient to patient. How fast can you make that diagnosis and treatment? And if it's not top 3, it's too late. You ain't got time for that. So the stats show that most doctors will interrupt you within the first 18 seconds of you explaining what's going on. Within 2 minutes, they have a tentative diagnosis before hearing everything. And within 5 minutes, most people have their prescription or are out the door. And that is, you can't do quality health care like that. We spend an hour with every single patient, a freaking hour, because that's truly how long it takes to really unravel and make real sustainable changes.
Or even longer.
Yeah.
Or even longer in some cases, because I know when I first made an appointment with you, I was like, holy cow, he's going to sit with me for an hour? That's unusual.
Yeah. Well,
usually, you sit outside the office for an hour.
That's for 3 hours.
And then you
5
go in
minutes.
for 5 minutes, and then you're like, to do your own thing, go get your prescriptions. So,
yeah. So, you have to do quality, substantial health care when it comes to thyroid. Thyroid is not a just look at the lab and diagnose and walk away. It's not.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. And then what was the other thing on there? So,
and undiagnosed thyroid disease. Let's talk about some of the stuff that, heart disease, weight gain, weight loss, infertility, we're probably going to go over some of that. Osteoporosis, which is all very female-based issues.
Oh, yeah.
Especially heart diseases now. I think women have surpassed men.
For the first time in history.
For the first time in history.
Literally have to rewrite medical textbooks because women have to be number one at everything, including heart disease. But women used to never get heart disease. Women, after World War II, entered the workforce.
Right.
They started having independent money, and then when the men came back from war, they were like, I'm not giving up independence. And so they kept working, and then we came up with cereal about that time. So we had instant foods, a breakfast change, lunch change.
Microwaves,
and then
oven-prepared food.
Women have the same physiology as men, so if they enter the same workforce, eat the same way, stress the same way as the men, they end up having the same diseases as the working men, but women also have to put up with men. So that's puts a little edge.
Double trouble.
And then the birth control, the estradiol of that, the dairy that they consume, the plastic, the estrogenic chemicals from perfumes and all the scented products, and then the hormone replacement therapy, those are dramatic
And it just goes on and on.
Risk factors for heart disease.
Absolutely.
Huge.
Absolutely. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
That's
so then women end up with heart attacks.
With any precautionary drugs,
Yeah. So with thyroid, the undiagnosed, especially the undiagnosed that still falls within that huge ass range, it's going to be a lot. So thyroid runs every single function in your entire body: puberty, fertility, sexuality, metabolism, brain function, memory, mood, everything that makes you feel awesome. So the minute thyroid is decreased or exhausted, just imagine all those systems failing. Where's my memory? I have brain fog, my bones starting to weaken, my muscles are weakening, I just want to sleep all day, I'm getting fatter. That's all thyroid underdiagnosed for a lot of patients. I mean, way more than I think the stats show because of that wide range.
Well, I mean, you think about just what you said. I mean, there's so many other issues that can bounce off of that. And
they would go in and get diagnosed with other diseases.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, depression.
And then they don't even go to the thyroid, the actual problem.
Right.
So
they exhaust their thyroid symptoms, and then they get diagnosed for those symptoms for another disease, and then they get treated forever and managed forever.
So basically, if a person has like a series of things that they're dealing with, then they have to start chucking those off the list. Okay, so I have to get to a point where I'm getting rid of one thing, so it's creating a healthier environment for another thing, and then eventually that thing will go away, and eventually you just have to work your way out of that stuff.
Right.
And especially like if there's medications or
I know. So
kind of wean yourself off of that stuff. And
so one of the stats on here is it says that most thyroid diseases are lifelong managed conditions, and that is absolutely true, but it shouldn't be. So thyroid condition, I would say probably 99.9% of thyroid cases we've had over 17 years are all reversible. The body is designed to heal, the body is designed to fix. Your thyroid is designed to work until you prevent it from doing that by malnourishment or by overexhausting it. But no one's going to treat it that way. No one. Even natural medicine docs, most of them are just taught to, let's just, instead of doing Synthroid, we'll do Armor or Naturethroid or Westhroid, or even more, they can just do GTA Forte, or they can do raw thyroid glandulars, right? But it's still like, why the hell are you managing this naturally? Why are you not fixing this patient? Why are you not figuring out why they have low thyroid and fixing it, rather than managing it in the same way that they do through the allopathic system? But it's crazy because like all the seminars that you go to learn this stuff, most docs, it's just, here's a supplement to give them for the rest of their life. Here's a bunch of more expensive tests to justify why you're giving them a more expensive supplement. But rarely do you ever, like, it was only at Harvard, the Harvard post-grad course that I took in lifestyle medicine. Those were the first courses that ever said, patient has disease, what are they doing to cause it? Stop causing the disease. First time. And so that blew me away. Like that, I mean, that's exactly how you want to handle thyroid, is why the hell are they exhausting it? And everybody wants that quick fix. They're used to coming in just like, well, just, is there a thyroid pill I can take that's natural, that doesn't cause as many problems?
Exactly.
But no. So the way that most people will be treated will guarantee long-term management. And hormones are very unique. Hormones and neurotransmitters are very unique. Everything in the body except for birth and a baby and clot and blood works off the negative feedback loop. The negative feedback loop is always too much, too little, too much, too little within a normal range. So with thyroid, it's always too much, too little, too much, too little. So if you then take an exhausted thyroid and they say it's low, well, we'll just give you thyroid. And then the thyroid goes up because you're giving them thyroid. So then the body makes even less. And then 3 months later, they're back to the doctor's like, man, I was feeling great, but now I'm just feeling exhausted again. We should increase the dose. And then they increase the dose, and you're like, oh my God, that works so well, and then now it doesn't. Twice a day. Oh, now I feel a lot better, and then it's exhausted completely. And then they're just like, well, let's try psych meds, right? But natural bioidentical hormones down-regulate your own production, making things worse and guarantee that you're going to have to be managed for life. Yet, why don't animals have this problem? Why don't the world's healthiest, happiest populations have this problem?
I think animals are having problems with
No, pets. Pets do.
yeah, right?
If you take a wild
Because
animal and you make it live with you,
food we're giving them too.
they're going to get the same diseases as their human parents. Obesity, diabetes, and thyroid meds are the most common prescribed drugs for pets now.
Even
because
for pets.
Physiology is no different. If you do what they do what you do, you're all going to get the same disease. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
Crazy.
that's crazy.
So we don't want lifelong. So for 17 years, the goal has always been functional lifestyle medicine based on that Harvard Medical School post-grad lifestyle medicine training and competency, which is fix why. And so patients go through, here's how you change your food to nourish the thyroid and stop exhausting them. Here's what you do chemical-wise to stop interfering with the thyroid. And then hormonally, we have two things that we go through so you can stop exhausting your thyroid. It is not nightshades. Every country that's thinner, happier, and healthier eat freaking nightshades. That's just gimmick nonsense. And with thyroid, you rabbit holes you want. And then when those finally are exhausted, then it's like, okay, what's that guy's name?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm at my wit's end.
Yeah, but it's crazy.
So with those lifelong conditions, there's things that you can do, which you just talked about. And then more than 12% of the U.S. population, more than 12% will develop thyroid condition in their lifetime.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
And again, I would totally think suggest that's way higher because of that wide-ass TSH level.
Right. So what we were going to go into after that?
Yeah, so what about the symptoms? So
okay.
What kind of symptoms do we expect patients to have, or what kind of symptoms do you guys have that might make you think, hey, maybe I got some thyroid exhaustion going on or some hyperthyroid?
Yeah, let's get some feedback here. So there's two different kinds of thyroidism.
Male and female. Is that right? No.
There's hyper and hypo.
Yeah.
So as with diabetes, you can have, high levels of blood sugar or low levels of blood sugar. So same thing with the thyroid. Is that the same with all glands?
Right.
Pretty much. I mean, you can have either an abundance of something or
Yeah,
right?
all hormones and neurotransmitters work off negative feedback. So receptors basically determine how high or how low, and then glands will produce releasing hormones or inhibiting hormones to balance it. So any kind of gland that gets messed up, you'll end up with hyperfunction or hypofunction, too high or too low with it.
Okay.
And then everything becomes chaotic after that.
And it all functions together, so if something's not working, if the thyroid's messing something else up, guess what? Then something else is going to get messed up, and then we're going to be in this, as you call it, a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So far nobody's said anything about
Nobody's chatting.
hyper. Come on, let's chat. So with the hyperthyroidism, which is an abundance of, so there's an unbelievable amount of symptoms.
Yeah.
And I like your teacup. Do you want some more coffee?
No, that's good. A little coconut
He's got
milk
his
in there,
little
so
teacup.
tastes good.
So the number one thing on the list is weight loss.
Yeah.
And
So-
see, I would have thought that it was the other way around. Like if you were hyperthyroidism, but it's not.
Yeah, so think about thyroid runs every single cell in your body. So if it's hyperthyroid, it is revving the engine too hot. So every single function in your body should be like out of control. And if it's hypo, then it's tampered down, it's too low. So then think of every single function in your body is too low.
Down.
So yeah, with hyper, like when I had hyperthyroid, holy crap, man, I thought I was just like invincible. Thought I was a superhero. I thought maybe I've got power somehow because I didn't need any sleep and my brain was just firing all cylinders and I could feel the blood pumping through my arms. Like I could feel it pumping. But I also had massive headaches.
How old were you?
20-something.
Okay.
Just a couple years
So
ago.
what about kids? Can kids have thyroid problems?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, for sure. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, a lot of that comes with childhood everything.
Right.
Diabetes and
You
all
wouldn't
the,
expect it as much.
all the food that we,
Yeah.
that's
That's a good
out
question.
there for them. Okay. So just a quick, Sherry says, I had Graves' disease. My thyroid was ablated with 2 doses of RAIs.
Yeah, radioactive iodine.
Oh, you did that?
So the problem with that too
Wow.
is you don't only have iodine receptors in the thyroid, you have them in your brain and breast tissue too, and I think adrenals.
So she said it's possible to manage this after ablation without pills? ?
Well, different kind of pills. So
Different thing.
you have like if that's always the treatment. Oh, it's too high, so let's cut it out, right? Let's just chop that thing out. You don't need it. Instead of figuring out why it's too high, and usually it's too high in the beginning, and then it crashes and it's too low. But usually you want to try like through your doctor propylthiouracil. Sometimes that'll tamper it down, and then you can go off that, and it's normal. But once you cut out that gland, you have to have thyroid, right? So then you're dependent on taking a pill. Medication-wise, they use Synthroid, but Synthroid is T4 only. And T4 doesn't guarantee it goes to T3. And if you do Armor is all the different forms of thyroid because it's just raw glandular. And sometimes they complain, well, it's not always the exact same. Well, neither is your thyroid. Your thyroid's constantly doing this all day, reacting and coping with everything. So some people don't do well, most people don't do well at all on Synthroid because Synthroid has a predictable half-life, which is like that. So then you're screwed. If things get chaotic later, you cannot do anything about it. Your thyroid's going to betray you.
So,
Even if they cut it out. But then if you do Armor's going to be better because it's all the products of it. But then naturally, like we've had patients that actually did really, really well with over-the-counter raw glandulars. And so we had to figure out the right dose for them. But once we did, it was so much better, and they didn't have to have a prescription for it, which means we can manage it a little bit more effectively without constantly going back to the endocrinologist and figuring that out. So
that's interesting. And so, do you want to talk a little bit about the T cells and how they actually work with the thyroid? I think we forgot to talk about that. Right
Oh,
off the
yeah.
bat. So, I mean, like, so he mentioned the T cells with the Graves' disease and the RAI treatment. But so, how do the T cells actually manipulate the thyroid? I mean, or manipulate the body?
Well,
Because
so those T cells are made by the thymus, and then your thyroid communicates with the thymus to kind of like upregulate, downregulate your immune system. But if people have what's called T cell dysregulation molecular mimicry, which we'll talk about next week, those T cells can misidentifiy thyroid tissue for a pathogen.
There it is.
And I think it's Epstein-Barr virus is the closest molecular mimic to that. I'll look that up for next week. But if your immune system is suppressed, which is the same thing that suppresses your thyroid, that constant stress, not eating for your hormones, then now your T cells from your thymus start attacking your thyroid, and then those can swell up really big, but then it downregulates your own production. But with Graves can be a T cell dysregulation that overstimulates that. And so then, depending on how it attacks, one can upregulate, and then you have hyperthyroid, one can downregulate, which then you have hypothyroid. And as thyroid function starts to decrease, then we grow extra thyroid to add on, and then people get goiters.
And goiters are not good.
Goitus.
They
Goitus.
get big.
Yeah. So then they'll have little knots and stuff that are on
they're
sono.
just- yeah, so it's messy.
Yeah.
And so it's we're about 7:45 now, so I'm going to cover some of these hyperthyroidism issues that if you feel like you might have some of those things, might be something to talk to Dr. G about. So hyperthyroidism, some of the symptoms to watch for are weight loss, increased appetite, fast heart rate.
You'll get hungrier, but you'll lose weight because it's hyper-functioning, which that's like the greatest thing, right?
Well,
except for the rest of these.
Yeah, but you don't want that. You know, you want to be like exercising and going, oh man, I'm like regulating my thyroid.
Yeah.
And losing some weight. So
faster heart rate.
Faster heart rate. How many people have like a racing heart at times? I actually do. At times.
I do, but only when I'm in love.
Oh.
It goes bum 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 bum.
That's so sweet.
No.
Where were we?
Fast heart rate.
So fast heart rate, anxiety and nervousness, and of course, a lot of this stuff we can relate to like lifestyle all the way across. So you still have to be kind of conscious of your body and how you're feeling and what's going on in your life. If you don't have like chronic stress or some kind of other stress, then these symptoms might be something to think about. But if you have lots of stress or, and we all do right now, this 2020 has been really impactful in a lot of different areas of our health.
This has been the worst 10 years ever. 2020.
Yeah, right. So really, I mean, some of these things is really difficult to tell. So you're going to have to get some testing done.
Yeah.
Anxiety, nervousness, irritability. Put that down. Anyway, shaking, trembling of hands. This is something that's not normal.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. When I had hyperthyroid, my hand would be like...
Lots and lots of...
It would tremble.
Trembles.
Yeah. Tremble's a really good sign for that.
Is it?
Yeah.
But because, I mean, that's not a normal thing for us to have. Like, all of a sudden, or, if you haven't eaten all day, that might be a whole nother thing to think about, too. You might get some of that. Feeling warm, sweating, a greater sensitivity to heat, insomnia, frequent bowel movements, and or diarrhea, muscle weakness.
Because like IBS kind of symptoms could be actual thyroid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like somebody might think that they have IBS because, that's all the rage in the last 10 years. So, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have these things that are showing up and then they go away, like ADHD. When my 28-year-old was, when he was in like 2nd grade, his teacher told his father and I, he's got ADHD and you need to get something done about that. So on and so forth. So, and of course, his father and I were looking at each other like, when did this happen? You know, and then it just blew up, and then all of a sudden it's not a big deal anymore as much as it was. But as far as like people diagnosing people, that they were just like, hey, I think that's, you know, like Scott Spradlin, he actually, and Mariah, his wife, they actually do work on ADHD. I know, that's it's so sweet. Different to say, it's so beautiful. Yes. But they actually do, you know, there is that. But what I'm saying is that sometimes we get self-diagnosed, and then other people are like, hey, you've been feeling this way or that way, you've got hyperthyroidism, you should go get checked, you know. But we really do need to tune into our own bodies and understand what kind of stress levels we have in our life, what's happening around us, so on and so forth. Thin skin, I don't understand this one. Why would hyperthyroidism create
thin skin like you're irritated or people get on your nerves? Or thin skin like literally?
I'm pretty sure it means brittle hair and thin skin. So maybe we're not taking in enough vitamins.
Well, yeah.
Or collagen. Maybe it reduces the amount of collagen in our skin.
Yeah.
Especially as we age, some of us get, you know, we got to go get the treatment.
I'm 72 and I have no wrinkles.
I'm 80.
See.
So anyway.
Collagen for your skin is made for your hair, skin, and nails is made from vitamin C. Vitamin C is from fruits and vegetables. So most people don't eat fruits and vegetables, but people with hyperthyroid, from mouth to anus, that bowel transit time should be 9 to 12 hours. But if they have hyperthyroid, that functions faster, and so nutrients don't get absorbed. And so systematically, all tissues should start downgrading. But the one that you're going to notice most is the ones on the outside, so then you're going to end up with thin skin.
Okay, there you go.
You didn't think I knew that, did you?
Well, yeah, you know what? I think you know a little bit of everything,
I don't know.
Honestly. Okay, so on the opposite spectrum of that, some of the symptoms for hypo.
Yeah. Hypo's just everything slow down. You get fat, slow, dumb.
Weight gain, or difficulty losing weight. Which, you know, the theory is that every 10 years of our life we're supposed to gain 10 pounds. That's
not supposed to.
Well, that's
what we do.
That's like part of the system, right? And I don't know that I 100% believe that.
Well, you're not supposed to. We just see it.
Because it
becomes the normal. What are you back to?
I'm back to where before, 25 years ago. Back to 115.
So am I. So I started going to the gym every day after I changed all my food and all that stuff for the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And I weighed myself and I was back down to 174. And
it's just really...
That's what I weighed in college.
It's lifestyle. It's food intake. It's exercise, it's being healthy, it's being happy.
Mindful.
Those are all, and mindful. And I want to talk about that before we close out today. I have a really nice little thing to read to everyone.
Do you really?
I do.
Nice.
So, one of the things is, and we probably all experience this at some time, you know, fatigue.
Yeah. Fatigue is the number one ICD-10 code used for diagnosing patients. Do you know that?
Yeah.
It's the most common clinical symptom.
Almost everything that you read on symptomatic things, that's fatigue is in it.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're feeling tired and everything, it's like look at your lifestyle. If it's something that's like validated, you know, like I'm really tired. I had the busiest week of, you know, the whole year. That's the whole difference. But if you're feeling fatigued for an extended period of time, or it's like onset sudden,
right,
those are things to think about.
Yeah.
Depression. But this whole series that we've been doing, like the last 4 or 5 episodes, have been all about these glands.
Mm-hmm.
And depression emanates from all of those.
Yeah.
So it all functions together. Of course, dry skin and hair loss, slow heart rate, feeling cold instead of warm.
Cold intolerance is a big one with that.
You know, but even as we age, it seems like we get a little bit colder.
Because Americans.
Because
Americans, because we're exhausting our thyroids.
Oh, and this is a difficult one. And both of these, hypothyroid and hyperthyroid issues, changes in menstrual cycles. Again, it goes back to the female issue with thyroid.
So you have infertility or PMS or dysmenorrhea if it's too low or if it's too high.
Right.
Yeah. And thyroid is one of the initiators of sexual maturation.
Wow.
So it's the kickoff point.
We don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
We don't?
No.
I'm hoping to go through puberty soon.
Okay. So some of the causes for
so the main one for this
let's
talk
talk about
is basically just exhausting.
Yeah.
So not taking care of self, all that. Next week we'll talk more about some very specific things when it comes to autoimmune, but very basic. I mean, thyroid is really simple. Thyroid is literally a tyrosine amino acid, think of it like a block, with 3 wheels on there, which are iodine. That's T3 that runs everything in your body, from head to toe. If there's 4 iodines, that's T4, but T4 only does about 10% of your function, that's free T4. Mm-hmm. Free T3 runs everything else. That's the only one that really matters, and it's only 0.4% of the total production. So tyrosine with 3 iodines on there is your main function of the entire body. So A, you have to have iodine, and B, you have to be able to get iodine in. So to get iodine in, you need selenium. Mm-hmm. And what's some good, do you know good sources of selenium?
Yes. So selenium-rich foods are Brazil nuts.
Yeah, well, real quick.
Okay.
1 Brazil nut, it has 100% of your daily selenium.
Are you serious?
Psh, just like that.
And why? I mean,
why does 1 Brazil have it?
Why do? And we have to get them from Brazil?
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
In Brazil, they call them nuts. I don't know what they're really called in Brazil. So, yeah, as if there's only one nut in the entire country of Brazil. We will call this the Brazil nut.
Y'all are going to love this next one.
Yeah.
Oysters.
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 Oysters. Can you say it like that?
Oysters.
Oysters.
Oysters. You got to.
Those are gross.
No,
Super gross.
They're not gross.
Oh my God.
I love them.
Freaking Seattle.
I wish somebody would take me to get some fresh ones.
Oh. Georgia. Okay, no, listen.
Oh, George's.
George's French Bistro.
Yeah.
Which I love going to.
Yeah.
But I hate paying. If anybody wants to take me to George's, you just let me know. So, George's bought the donut shop next door. And they're going to open up a oyster and something...
A bar?
Bar. Yeah.
Oysters and crackers.
So, yeah, they're going to have I think it's the only oyster bar in oyster bar. Get an oyster bar in the Wichita. Go park my car in the yard. Get my car keys.
Oyster bar.
Yeah, go to the oyster bar. I don't know. So, yeah. So that's...
Oh, it's been a long day.
Yes.
I'm excited for that now. Yeah. Anybody? I'm game.
No, because they're gross.
They're not.
They're gross.
And hopefully they do all kinds of different styles of the oysters
God.
too. Like sometimes they cook them and they put like cool flavorings
Maybe
on
cooked
them.
oysters.
Oh yeah,
The
I
raw
love
ones.
them. I love any shellfish, honestly. Mushrooms, beans, sunflower seeds, and fish. You want to go back to mushrooms?
Yeah, no, wild-caught fish, wonderful. And especially during the wintertime, mushrooms are medicine. Mm-hmm. Not the kind that you get high off of, right? But the portobello, the shiitake, maitake. I mean, the takis are all anti-cancer. Even button mushrooms, which is the head lettuce of mushroom world.
Right.
They're still medicine.
Yeah. And you can buy mushroom powder mixes. Mm-hmm. Even there's a shop. Now I can't think of the name of it, but there's a shop that's at the farmer's market, and they actually sell a chocolate powder you can put in your coffee. And sometimes you could just
chocolate mushrooms.
Yeah, it's got mushrooms.
That's
in
medicine.
It.
Happiness.
Yes, and I recently gave my my friend Tracy the rest of mine, which I've kind of missed actually. So I'm gonna have to get some more. But go to the farmers market. I think they're downtown and they're out at Sedgwick County Extension.
Yeah.
And I think they're only gonna be out there I think until the end of August. So go get you some mushroom powder.
Are they gonna do indoor in the wave? Is that where they do it?
No.
Because I think in the winter they figured out where they can do it indoors.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I
So
hope
maybe
so.
they'll be having their stuff at the Wave.
Yes.
So basically, mushrooms of any type. There's even a farm. I think out near not El Dorado. And they grow mushrooms.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
one of my favorite things to do is to go mushroom hunting for morels. And so in Missouri,
You can do
where
it
I
here.
lived, they're actually starting to grow them now because originally they said that the spores were not reproducible. But there's a company out in Missouri that actually produces morel mushrooms and sells them in
Yeah, they're
grocery
really
stores.
good.
Oh, they're so expensive, but man, I had them everywhere.
You know why you
And they were
should
free.
always
I had buckets and baskets of them.
you should always have mushrooms at a
awesome.
party because it's a fun guy. Fun guy.
That's the fun guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
then
wild caught fish.
Iodine. Oh yes,
Wild
wild
caught
caught fish. But even sometimes wild caught fish can have like color added to it and stuff like that. Make sure that it's just
only wild caught.
fish.
No
Whatever it
TSP
is.
in there.
No.
No processed in China.
One ingredient.
Yeah. Fish. Imagine
Fish.
that.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Iodine-rich foods, sea vegetables, a super dose of iodine, and discontinue if there is an adverse reaction.
Yeah, so you can't do this really with, if you do food, it's fine for hypo and hyper, but if you take iodine, it can be problematic. So selenium gets iodine into the thyroid. And then iodine, the main source of iodine is from the ocean. Do you know that?
Sea vegetables.
So sea salt, real actual sea salt, like Himalayan pink
The
salt,
Himalayan pink salt.
black salt, that will have lots of iodine in there too, but not purified table salt. So you always want real actual sea salt from the ocean. So the pink salts are like your best one. And then the plants absorb the iodine. So kelp by itself has 3,000 micrograms of iodine. So you can get that powder. Do you do that at all?
Yes.
The powder,
I
you can add
do
to
a lot
soups,
of
sauces,
seaweed.
stews.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
do all the dulce.
Dulce.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Do a lot of
dulse,
that.
nori, wakame, those have less iodine, but still good sources of iodine for most people. And then the fish that eat the plants that live in the salt in the ocean, that's wild caught fish again. So you can see, like, again, plants and fish from the ocean. The most 85% of the world's population lives near the coast. They eat plants and fish from the ocean. Americans do not. We will not eat that stuff. We consume more coffee than we do fish in America. Lots of stress, lots of anxiety, but we're not going to eat away thyroid problems for sure. So the next week when we talk about chemicals that interfere with it, this week we're talking about foods that we don't eat that build your thyroid. You have to have those foods. You have to. You don't want to take exogenous iodine either.
You know, my son and I, the next item is relatively easy to get.
Meth.
And everyone loves them.
What?
But I was having a conversation with my son. He said, should I eat the skin on this? And I said, oh, absolutely, because they're organic. If they're not organic, I wouldn't suggest eating the skin.
Oh, why?
Because it's grown in the ground.
What?
Potatoes.
Potatoes.
That's potatoes. And so basically you want to eat it with the skin on because, again, it's absorbing those minerals into the skin.
Yeah, get organic and get purple ones. French fingerlings. So like russet is this much nutrition. A French fingerling is that much. A Peruvian purple is that much. Like it's a huge difference of nutrition. And I get my Peruvian purple and red and French fingerlings at Walmart of all places.
Yeah, and we're able to find it. Just organic is the most important thing in that process.
Yeah, they're heavily pesticide ridden.
Well, yeah, the FDA approves, a vacant field after 5 years, they can deem it organic. So we know that those chemicals don't go away for 100 years or ever. So, okay, so spirulina, shrimp, turkey.
Wild-caught shrimp.
Wild-caught shrimp.
Not from the Gulf.
Right. Not farm-grown, really,
no,
either.
Argentine wild-caught.
Yeah.
That's at Dillon's.
You're going to think this is an interesting one, but dried prunes.
Okay, this is bull crap. No, I'm sorry. I was thinking prune juice. There's no such thing as prune juice. They took the juice out of the plum to make prunes.
Oh, yeah. No.
So how the hell you get more juice from a dried prune?
That doesn't make any.
That doesn't make any damn sense. There's no raisin juice, right?
I don't think so.
So prunes okay though. Prunes would be good.
So okay, that's some examples. So then also some other things that are really important too, and that is magnesium-rich foods, which are avocados, nuts and seeds, bananas, and guess what? Dark chocolate.
Cacao.
Cacao. Cacao.
And dark leafy greens. The green is because there's magnesium in there. But did you know plant blood and human blood has the same tetrahedral molecule? But if there's iron, it's red. If there's a magnesium, it's green.
Oh, wow.
So it's really plant blood.
That's
so amazing. That's chlorophyll, spirulina. I mean, that's from algae. Super dark, rich green colors.
Wow.
Super healthy for you. And those you can put in smoothies, you can put in soups, all kinds of stuff. But greens are your main source of magnesium. So an avocado is great because then you put the avocados in there. And then you can put bananas, nuts, and seeds in there. You got yourself a little meal.
And you got all that. But it does say extreme dark chocolate cravings often indicate a deficiency in magnesium. And I have a friend who craves chocolate. So maybe we need to get her to eat some more magnesium-based up.
Who is that? Oh, you're not going to rat them out? Yeah, a lot of times, again, if people have that craving for chocolate, it's magnesium, so they need to be eating more greens. So.
Also, some things to do is to pay attention to gut health.
Yeah.
And some things to do for that is to add bone broths, kombucha, kefir, and sauerkraut.
Yeah, live sauerkraut, like
live.
Buddies. Yeah.
So some of those things are really good to do for that. I think that's pretty much it on my list here.
Good.
I think we covered it, except for I want to talk a little bit about the soft science of the thyroid.
Yeah, you're going to read something, aren't you?
I am.
All right.
And it's just about time for us to get going here. So, but here's the thing. In the sort of soft science world, some people, have different ways of thinking about things, but we've also been tying this into our energy systems in our body, which a lot of people talk about the chakra systems and what the pineal gland does, and the thymus gland, the heart center. This is actually the throat chakra that we're talking about, this whole area. And some of the things that I'll read to you is part of lifestyle. So if some of you have some lifestyle, some areas in your life that are relative to this, it could have something to do with the type of energy that we're taking in and assimilating. Yeah. So basically the throat chakra is the center associated with expressing the love you felt in the fourth center, which is the thymus gland that we were talking about last week, as well as speaking your truth and personally empowering your reality through language and sound. And so when the fifth center is balanced, you voice your present truth, which includes expressing your love. You feel so pleased with yourself and with life that you just have to share your thoughts and feelings. That's meaning let it out.
I'm all throat chakra.
Let it out. Don't hold all that energy right around your thyroid.
So that's true, especially think about that for women that don't feel like they have a voice or they have to apologize for like having opinions and feelings, which is just craziness.
That's right.
So,
And that's lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's what you were talking about in the beginning of the show, is that we do too much, and sometimes we overdo, and then we just don't speak up. We just hold it all in. So we want to make sure that we're living a healthy lifestyle and a balanced lifestyle in that. So basically, intentional listening and mindful communication, those are all really very, very important things for us to be adding into our daily routines.
Yeah.
And especially if we're feeling like we have fatigue and areas of our glands, systems that are kind of being held back. So,
well, that's huge too, because if you think
very
about
big stuff.
cortisol is the thing, stress, prolonged stress is the thing that interferes with your thyroid. But the chakra is having healthy boundaries and having a voice to express instead of just holding everything in and then screwing up your thyroid. So I like that.
Cortisol.
Yeah.
Key
All
factor.
right. So next week we're going to talk about a different part of Hashimoto's, or a different part of low thyroid called Hashimoto's. Hashimoto's and Graves are true autoimmune conditions, so we'll talk about how we can reverse even autoimmune thyroid. So that's we've had great success with that with patients, getting them their whole entire kind of like life back, and then a handful of those patients were able to even get rid of the autoimmune antigens for that too, which is or the antibodies, which is amazing, right?
Yes.
Because again, when I had Graves, they did not say, "Oh, you can reverse this. You caused it." It's like, when are we cutting out your thyroid? And I remember at like 27 years old being like, you need to tell me why I have hot Graves before you're cutting anything out of me. Like, I'm in my 20s. Like, why would you cut something out of me? Why would you not fix it? But no one had an answer for me. No one. And that's where most people end up. So, we'll do that so next episode, that's 180. We'll talk about the autoimmune version of thyroid problems. And then tomorrow we have a special episode with Delana Hansen, and we're going to talk about myofunctional therapy, which is how to change the palate and face and the breathing through very specific exercises. And she has so many great testimonials and pictures that we'll share. And I love that. My kids did that too. We had some thumb suckers. But for people with sleep apnea, it can make a huge difference. But for kids, it may be a way that you can change the structure of the mouth without braces. So
that's powerful. And also, I believe that some of that might go along with for people with stroke symptoms, and this is what I've been told, is that different things that we do with our tongue and speech pathology, all of that, has a lot to do with how we breathe.
Right.
And all of these muscles, and even around that whole area, I'm sure that has something to do with, tightness and vocal skills and all kinds of stuff. So I'm excited, and I think y'all are going to do that here tomorrow, right?
Yep. I had coffee with her a couple weeks ago, and she was, it's like, I want you to come on. Like, I think this is amazing, because it is functional medicine kind of stuff, and it's amazing pre and post with those. Yeah. So, and then we'll finish out doing kind of more thyroid stuff through the end of this month, through October. And then November, we have Dr. Kristen Lloyd, who is specializing at the new genomic clinic on reversing type 2 diabetes, helping patients better regulate type 1, and helping patients with weight loss that's sustainable, long-term kind of weight loss in a healthy way with no gimmicks. So she's going to be, we're going to be doing several through November. And then in December, we're going to have Dr. Sonia Padilla talking about anxiety and depression, because that's the holidays. But, again, we're the most anxious, depressed country, so we're going to talk a lot about that. And then in January, we're going to have Dr. Kristen Lloyd on again, talking about sustainable weight loss, because everybody's going to be making their New Year's resolutions. and we need to cut the bull crap and create sustainable changes, not failure, constant
That's
failure.
Right. That's right.
All right, love you guys.
We'll
Thank
get
you
some
guys for
exit
joining
music
us.
going here.
And really appreciate you guys watching. If you have more questions, feel free to post those. We'll try to get to those. Otherwise, please share this. And thank you guys for joining us again.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Closer. Closer.